All right, well, welcome back. This is going to be the fourth of 6 videos exploring Chapter 13 of Wheeler's most excellent textbook on security risk management. And what we're going to do during this particular video is look at patterns, baselines, transitive risk, and some different types of flows, continuing on the lesson we had before where we talked about the information flow access model. So, as we start, let's look at some definitions. Service traffic is going to be that data and traffic that is exchanged between a service and its intended client. Okay, so we're trying to deliver a particular service to the client. How do we do that? We do that through what's called service traffic. So it's the services to the end user. It may be some necessary communications that don't go to the end user but help fulfill that service. And it's exchanged to deliver that in two different forms: management traffic and infrastructure common services. So management traffic is going to be any service that's direct contact to another asset, could be another server, to retrieve or interface, and you're trying to get the configuration, the status, the operating system, or other components of the user interface that allow the delivery of service to a business unit, or to a business user. And then infrastructure common services are going to be services used by lots of different applications. And it may be, synchronizing date time so that everything's aligned. It may be authentication or directory services, network address, or name resolution. All right, let's move now and start to think a little bit about external versus internal traffic as it's affiliated with this idea of service traffic. So as we're looking at this and splitting things into zones, there are kind of 3 principal reasons you're going to move things into a different zone. The first of which is this idea that outside risk, where you do not want to accept the risk associated with folks coming from the outside and accessing a service directly. Okay? And so you're going to protect it by putting it in the appropriate zone. You could have internal risk. You could have one server that's processing very sensitive information, another server that's just got public information on it, and they may have different characteristics associated with them. And so you're going to separate them out. And then finally, there may be some business requirements associated with isolation. It may be that you're going to put it up for availability or redundancy or throughput across the network, and then you're going to build the zone to handle that. So a good example of this is separating administrative traffic from research traffic. First of all, the characteristics of the traffic are different, but the business requirements of moving large amounts of synchronous research data is different than the asynchronous bursty nature of just common internet access. You want to evaluate these for these zones where they've got connections for transitive risk. Can a risk get into a particular zone, and within the zone itself, can I affect the other servers there? And of course, defensive depth is one of those underlying principles that we've talked about throughout the course. And what we don't want to do is create a covert channel or a inadvertent path that leads to compromise. All right, if you've got public-facing resources, again, we're looking at the information flows associated with these. You're going to have those that are made available to the public in an anonymous manner, and typically availability is going to be key, and you don't want people changing that data. It's people coming in, getting the data, and getting out. And by definition, those things are typically not involving sensitive data. And then those that have some authentication authorization mechanism and a restricted user community to get in and see the data, then all 4 of the characteristics, confidentiality, integrity, availability, and accountability, become critical. And it could be that there's sensitive data involved. A lot of times as you're looking at public-facing resources, you're going to use a DMZ or demilitarized zone to segment that traffic out and make sure that it's protected. Hey, how time flies. We're already at the end of the 4th of 6 videos exploring Chapter 13 of Wheeler's most excellent textbook on security risk management. We're going to pick up next lesson looking at an architectural risk analysis, which is really the subject of the entire chapter, now that we've got all of this background information done. So keep on learning, keep on studying, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.